Hey everyone, this is Paul of Emerald Enclosures here, and while I'm working on the designs and the schematics for my base and shell of my newest tank, I figured instead I'd make a video today about what I already have done in my room, my setups and whatnot. Right here is the first thing. It's my pink-toed tarantula. I'm still trying to work on trying to make a better tank for her. That's probably going to be my next project. She's pretty tame. Just watered down her setup. It's very barren, I know, which is why she needs a new tank. This tank works though because pink-toed tarantulas need to dry out every now and then, or else they start growing mold in their lungs. So a tank like this is pretty suitable. Right here, I have a culture of jumping. So they hatched. Oh, that's cool. These are baby jumping spiders. I actually have to get a better top for this, but it's cool. They hatched. That's the first time I'm seeing this. I'm breeding them for cricket control inside tanks. Might even sell some if people are interested. Here, I have my Brachypelma amelia sling. I'm not sure if you consider this to be a juvenile at this point or what, but she's growing, albeit very slowly compared to my Brachypelma vagans. Actually, I think I need to add a line there. I believe that this is her 4th instar. I've been trying to sell her, so if anyone's actually interested in her, feel free to talk to me about that. I'll include a picture in the comments about what she'll look like when she gets older. This is just a holding little container for my Amazonian sword that I pulled out of my red shrimp tank. It wasn't doing well in there, so I just put it on its own, and I supplement the water every now and then with water from the original tank. Here, it's just a tiny little vase aquarium that I made. It used to hold a whirligig beetle, but it passed away. Only thing in there right now is a couple of snails that I was using to feed it, and Amazonian sword along with Java moss. Right here is just some algae that I've been growing just because what the hell. I just wanted to see what would happen and to see if any of it could be used. Here is a stone-faced succulent that I repotted recently. It's a really interesting look to it. My favorite of the stone faces. Besides baby toes, which kind of look like green radioactive mushrooms. And here's just a bromeliad that I'm planning on putting into my pink-toed tarantula, also known as an avicularia tarantula. That's going to be going in there once I get around to making the tank. This is my snail critter catcher tank. It's completely bioactive. No molding or anything, no extravagant designs, but lots of live moss, ferns, and a bromeliad, like every single one of my setups, or at least all my good setups have, which I kind of view as my signature. I don't see the big snail. He usually burrows, so I'm guessing that's where he is right now. There are a couple of smaller snails in here. Oh, there's one. That's one of the smaller snails. I'm not sure about the species, but it's cute. Here I have my 40-gallon scorpion tank that I made probably about 8 months back. It's completely bioactive. It has a full range of helpful microbes and other small micro critters in it. I just throw some lettuce, carrots, cat food, whatever every now and then. usually around the base of the plants so that the nutrients can be absorbed by the plants whenever they get eaten by the springtails, mites, isopods, millipedes, or whatnot that inhabits the tank. And right here's one of my older bromeliads, which is starting to bud off. I'm not sure if you could tell, but there. See that? It's a new bromeliad growing from the base of the old one. Very exciting because this is the first time I'm seeing this. And that used to be a Selaginella spike moss. Although it still could be alive, I just need to raise the water. So chances are I'm probably just going to be pulling that thing out and trying to put it in kind of a marsh biome. See if it perks back up. Despite it looking very dead, they can actually, I guess you could say, hibernate when the water levels get too low. And I'm interested to see if I can bring that back to life. Right here is my 2 large bromeliads. This one I was obsessing about for a week or so, and I finally got around to buying it. Love the magenta look to it. Here is another bromeliad I picked up from ShopRite. It was $1. Even though it's not the prettiest, I'm going to try and transfer it into another tank soon and see if it'll bud off, just like this bromeliad. So it'll pay for itself eventually. Right here is just some fancy looking ground cover weeds that I picked up from my backyard. I was just fond of them, so I took them, and they're growing, albeit very slowly. And right here is a pothos plant that I'm recovering for my friend Chris. It wasn't doing before, but after I put it inside this tank, the soil got it started to let's see. Let me just, because a picture is worth 1,000 words. You see that dried husk there? Kind of looks like, I don't know, a dried husk. That's what it originally looked like, and when I put it into my soil, it started to grow new shoots and a new, pretty perfect leaf. That's the power of worm compost for you. Here's just a holding tank with my 30-40 gallon light that I just switch between tanks whenever one needs one temporarily. I got all my spare plants in here. Some of them you may recognize from the tank that I just finished. We have Calathea looking plant, Dracania, some species of ivy, philodendrons, more Dracania, crotons, more Dracania, a Neanth bella palm, also known as a parlor plant, another croton, Phidonias, Phytonias right here, and philodendrons here. This tank just pretty much holds all my plants until I'm ready to use them. I keep these piece of plastic on the top here just to keep the humidity up because they are tropical plants, and then I just monitor them with this thermometer, hygrometer from Accurite. Right here is, let me turn off that light for a second. Right here is Christopher Costella's scorpion tank. He put it together, I'm holding on to it. You can't really see her that well. Here, let me see what happens when I turn on the light again. You can see her claw a little bit. She hides mostly during the day unless she's, I don't know, feeling brazen, I suppose. It's not too fancy. A couple of pothos plants, some sphagnum moss, live sphagnum moss. It grew out of the dead sphagnum moss inside the soil, and it just went upwards. It's actually pretty neat. I'm probably going to harvest some of that soon. Down here I have a Brachypalma vagans tarantula. Oh, she's actually out. You can see her legs right there. she's been digging up a new tunnel lately, so I've been seeing a lot more of her. She's not really out that much so that you could see what's going on. Oh, and I forgot to mention this. I put plastic along the top to try and hold in more humidity. She's a good looking spider. I'm pretty fond of her. And here's just a small tank with a water reservoir. Oh, this holder tank also has the same thing. Just for orchids. Right now they're in their plant growth phase, and hopefully they'll be going into their flower phase soon. Every now and then I just water them with distilled water, aquarium water, which they get nutrients from. In the wild, orchids only grow epiphytically, which means that they grow on bark and whatnot from other trees. So they don't actually grow in soil. That's the quickest way to kill them if you want to try and kill an orchid, trying to bury them under the ground. They need good airflow and moisture, which is why the water bucket's there. Moving downwards, we got my feeder tank of Madagascar hissing cockroaches. Right now they're just chowing down on some lettuce and carrots that I put in. These little guys breed out of control. I've been trying to feed them to other things, as much as I don't like doing it, because I think they're actually charming little creatures, but my other creatures also need to eat. So if anyone's actually interested in buying these, I would be more than willing to make discounts, because I just want to move them, and well, they're just starting to become too much. Right here, despite it being a filthy, dirty mess because I haven't gotten around to cleaning it, was my newest tank. It's still doing really well. There's worms on the glass right now because the lights just came on and they're kind of being spooked. This tank is doing exceptionally well still. Oh, you can see more on this side. As you can see, the jumping spider has taken root in the tank and has webbed up the entire bromeliad and pretty much made it its home base. I don't see her right now, but she's definitely around here somewhere. I'll do more updates on her just because she's really, really charming. The plant, as you can see, there are new petals growing. The moss is spreading on the log. And I keep a pile of lettuce and carrots in the back. The ants don't really touch the carrots too much. They don't touch the lettuce at all. Mostly it's just to feed the soil microbes. That way the worms don't crawl all over the glass, but still they do. Above that is one of my favorite tanks. My Narcissus americanus giant millipedes. Usually you wouldn't see them out at all during the day, but this particular millipede is just extremely brazen, and I know that it's the same one because no matter what time of day it is, he's always hanging out, eating, relaxing, and he doesn't care how bright it is. Like right now, you can see it right there, there's a worm also is eating this dry cat food, which is what I usually feed them whenever they need protein. Right there is a small compost pile. See worms, mites, springtails, isopods, and baby millipedes. Speaking of which, let me see if I can find one. Ah, right there. Yeah, that's a baby giant millipede, and they've been breeding out of control lately. I would love to be able to sell some of them, so if you guys are interested, please contact me. I also picked up some small plants in here that I pulled out of a pot in the flower section of ShopRite, along with these plants, which I just picked up from my backyard, and they seem to be doing pretty well for the most part. Some of the stalks are questionable, but they were also there when I first planted it, and installation is not 100%. This is probably my most fertile tank out of all of them. I have ridiculous plant growth in here. There's also a wandering Jew plant back there. But in terms of microbial health, this tank definitely is the best of them all. Worms sometimes get underneath the tarp, but they always climb back up. Right here, there's not really much to see, but this is my giant centipede tank. Alucard is his name. He doesn't really come out much. Most of the time he just hangs out in the soil, but yeah, I don't try and put any types of real plants in there because he just knocks them over or tears them up for no apparent reason. And right there is also more Selaginella spike moss, just like I have in the scorpion tank. I'm thinking about pulling it out soon, maybe replacing it with some pothos, give it a shot. I would like him to have just a little bit of live plant in there. I feel bad whenever a creature doesn't have live plants. I feel like it just helps to put them at ease, just from my personal experience. Here, I have ants. These in particular are carpenter ants. They are Camponotus chromatios. And an Omni nest from Ants Canada, the Ants Canada ant store. Fabulous store. Everyone should check it out if they have any interest in starting with ants. It is just the best, in my opinion, the best ant store on the market. Here I just have another couple of small colonies. This one to the left is Solenopsis molesta, just small red ants. This one here is Formica fusca, second to the left. Middle one here, which one was this? Tetramorium, also known as little black ants, the ones that you see on pavement, sometimes just fighting each other in gigantic wars. The next one over is a Phenogaster ants. They're sort of like Tetramorium, except slightly bigger, and they're much more tame. Like, they won't be looking for fights and like Tetramorium are, which are hyper aggressive. I once had a Tetramorium colony of like 4,000, 5,000 ants. It was ridiculous trying to keep them contained once they reached that point. And the last tank, little tube on the end, are Fidoli ants, which are known as big head ants. They're pretty cool because they have a pretty large caste system difference. Here I have my let me see if I can find them. Sometimes they come out, sometimes they don't. When the big ones come out, the little ones come out. But isopods. I just fed them some fish food flakes, carrots, and lettuce. The lettuce really doesn't do much. It's more about the carrots. Whenever I put spinach in there or I try to feed them a healthier alternative, they never eat it. So I figured I'd just give them something for the moisture. Oh, and those are calico isopods. If anyone's interested in buying any, I do have some to spare. These here are small white isopods. Isopoda sp. That's literally the only name I can find for them, other than small purple isopods. They're a bit shy. They're not also very good diggers. So you can't see it terribly well, but there's just little pockets along the surface here. Very small. Even when these things are full grown, they can still be eaten by dart frogs, albeit maybe bigger dart frogs, not the thumbnails. Right here is a culture of springtails that I picked up from Josh's Frogs. My last culture crashed a while back, and I really haven't replaced it yet, but while I am getting poison dart frogs soon, I figured I'd have a supply in the sign. Even though all my tanks already have a healthy amount, I figured I'd be able to feed a tank whenever I need to by just having these jars in the back or getting ready so that I can create multiple cultures so my next one doesn't crash and get infested with mites again, and then I have to throw away the entire thing. Problem is mites will outcompete springtails. They're just more voracious and I think they breed faster. Right here is just some of my equipment that I use to make tanks. Dremel, best tool ever. And let's see, this is just a box full of transformers, pretty much phone chargers. I just cut them up and I use them to power other things. There's some lighting in there, distilled water. I need to buy more. I only bought one because, well, Poland Spring distilled water is like 20 cents more and they didn't have the ShopRite brand that I usually use. So I wasn't going to buy 8, but typically that cabinet is full of 8 at all times. Here's just Dremel heads, soldering gun, tarp, plastic wrap, vinyl foam, which you use for weatherproofing doors. I use them so that I can keep creatures in. If I didn't have that, the roaches would be everywhere. Just your basics, extension cords, tape, sphagnum moss, bags, cups, whatnot. If I'm doing any projects on the run, this is what I bring with me, along with the Dremel. Gotta love the Dremel. Oh, and by the way, for anyone wondering what that is a project I'm working on that I don't want to unveil, just because I don't want anyone stealing the idea. Water testing kit, computer, very, very old 2009 piece of junk computer, water bottle. Hey everyone, sorry about the video getting cut. I literally just ran out of room on my phone. Kind of hilarious at this point. I'm trying to work on uploading all my photos now so I can try and keep my phone a little bit more clean, but that's going to take a hella long a time. I think there's like 36 gigabytes of just photos and videos on here. Anyway, like I was going to get to, this is my shrimp tank. They're very charming little creatures. These here are Neocardinia davidi red cherry shrimp. I know they're not the fanciest shrimp, as anyone who keeps shrimp knows, but I like them all the same. Very active, very cute little arthropods. I try and feed them every other day so that I give the tank a chance to, give them a chance to clean the tank, which is their primary goal. Even though I've never seen a lick of algae in this tank, I keep it so well planted and the pH levels kind of like fully balanced out, like it never goes between 7.0 and 7.2, that the plants are able to uptake all the nutrients and algae never get a chance. So that's why there's so much moss in here. And that's what the majority of the plants in here is, Java moss. The only other plant I have in here are a couple of moss balls, which you can see in the back, which I need to turn over, and anubias. I also have ram's horn snails and Malaysian trumpet snails. The ram's horn snails I put in because they just have a nice color of red, just like the shrimp themselves, and the Malaysian trumpet snails dig into the substrate and churn it up so that ammonia pockets don't pop up. And here I have my blue shrimp tank along with some Autosynclius catfish. You can see all those little dots around. They are fish eggs. I've been thinking about just trying to scratch them off, but I'm not entirely sure if I should. They might still hatch at some point. What I also have in here is shrimp. Various types of shrimp. I have blue jelly shrimp, blue velvet shrimp, and I also have blue diamond along with these little brown shrimp, just like those, which are a wild variant. I'm thinking about just letting the tank become a wild variant. It's good to have at least one, I wouldn't call it junk tank, but one tank that you could put everything into if you needed to, just in case there are accidents. That's one of the blue velvets there. In terms of planted foliage, I have these balls, Java moss, and these little lily pad looking things, which are known as frog bits. Super consumers of nitrates. Like the other tank, I feed them about once every other day, giving the tank a chance to letting them get a chance to clean. There's also a mono shrimp, which are hiding right now because one of them is pregnant, the other one doesn't usually go far. In terms of snails, we have these small pond snails, which I've been trying to get rid of for months and months and months. And also assassin snails, which are the thing that gets rid of them. Right over here, I have my aquaponic tank, which is supplied nutrients by these two minnows. Pretty much, I feed the minnows. The food breaks down into nitrates. The nitrates get uptake by this pump. I wrapped up the pump tubing with black tape so that algae doesn't grow in it and clogs it, and the water falls into this grow bed, which climbs up to the top and then drains because of this funnel siphon I made, bell siphon, which funnels out the water using suction. And the water falls back into the tank. Clean and nitrate free. And that's a air pump for anyone that's wondering. Very loud, so I stuck a piece of styrofoam here on the bottom. Right here I have some succulents that I'm trying to save. Found them at long ShopRite. Every now and then I just pick them up and then douse them with some aquarium water. Some of them are doing better than others. Most of them fail, but some do survive. I guess the only other things that I could point out at this point are, one, cat. Pain in the ass cat. Yeah, I'm talking about you. He's always trying to knock things over, so I gotta keep a real close eye on him. He's a brat. Fridge, which I use to hibernate ants, but at this time of the year it just holds foodstuffs. Food processor, which I use to make food for my worms, which are right here. I feed them a diet of eggshells, coffee grounds, leaves, and a banana. All of it creating very rich soil, which I use in my tanks. You can see them there. And you can also see a couple right there. Fantastic little detritivores. I don't even have to have legitimate cultures or anything like that for whenever I'm trying to seed my tanks with detritivores to help break down any of the waste so that it can be uptaken by the plants. Because everything just grows in that one vermicompost container. Really is the best system. But as I showed before, I'm also just I made cultures just so I could have backups just in case I ever needed them in case of catastrophe. Here is just one of my various work tables. This is full of supplies that I still haven't gotten around to fully cleaning up from making the dart frog tank that I keep in my living room. Vacuum cleaner with various elongated suction tubings. Just some foam. Not too much to see here. And just some more supplies for tank making. And just more supplies in the background there. And stir-like containers holding various tank making supplies. The vented one there is just completed soil, which I can grab at a moment's notice. And there's also sphagnum moss, rocks, granulated gravel, leaves, fir bark, just the various things I may need whenever I'm making a tank. I try and be as organized as possible, but once the creativity starts to flow, sometimes it gets a little bit messy in here, but I always get around to cleaning it up when I'm done. And I try not to be too crazy about it. But anyway, that is pretty much it in my room as of right now. Things are always changing, improving, adding to. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will be making more updates eventually, so just keep posted. And thanks for watching my video if you actually stuck around that entire time. So guys, I will see you later. You have a great day. Bye.